Hello, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful interview with one of our authors. This is Kolleen Chesley, and she is in the Grit and Tenacity, Women Transforming Leadership in Business and Community book. And Kolleen, I'm excited to have you here. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell the audience a bit more about you and what you're up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And thank you so much, Kathy. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for this book to come out. And I know we're doing a little bit of an interview today, but thank you so much for what you're doing because exactly what you're doing helps further the mission that I have and what I do in the world. If you weren't doing what you're doing, I couldn't do what I'm doing. So I absolutely love that. And thank you so much for what you do in the world. So I'm a little bit of a mix of some different things. I'm definitely a visionary leader. I'm a strategist. I'm an advocate, mostly for women in business. And I've done that for the past 3 decades and really started actually almost 20 years this month. Started in 2004 by founding a nonprofit. I didn't mean to found a nonprofit. I actually did something that helped benefit me, and I thought I was the only one. And turns out there were a lot of other people that wanted to take part in that. And it's a little bit maybe timely right now because the reason I started the nonprofit was in reaction to a devastating hurricane that came and destroyed a lot of the Gulf Coast right where I live. And during that time, I really struggled being in business. I struggled with what I could do to help restart and rebuild my business. Now that we were in a town that was really destroyed by a hurricane. And instead of, just being stuck, I reached out to other women and I asked them what they were doing. And I was surprised because they told me they were just as stuck as I was. And I didn't realize so many other women were really not knowing what to do back then. And that's how the nonprofit was born. And since then, I've been an advocate to really help women, whether it's CEOs, whether it's entrepreneurs, whether it's women in business, build better skills and to be stronger, to be able to live to their true potential.
No, I love that. And yeah, like you say, right now, it's so timely because there has been so much destruction from the recent hurricanes and yeah, and what's next is what I think a lot of people have been wondering. So it's wonderful that you started that, and I'm sure over the years it has just built.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so with the book, quick kind of just touching on, do you remember what your title is and what the general message was in your chapter?
Yeah, absolutely. So my exact title is called From Mountains to Milestones: Navigating Leadership in Uncharted Territory. And this was really a personal story. So this is the first time I've ever been in a book. So this was a little bit personal for me to share a piece of my story. And what I shared was my experience with burnout. So I hit burnout in 2021, and it was a little past when the pandemic had started. So it kind of took me by surprise. And I really go deep into the chapter about resilience. I also talk a lot about embracing challenges. I talk about leading with vision. And I talk about having faith when the path is maybe not as clear as it was in the past.
Wow, yes, you covered a lot of ground with that one, and I love what you say too about this being your first book and the idea of what story are you going to put out there in the world, and what part of your journey fits with that leadership in business and community. I mean, you've done so many different things that fit those categories. So really to pick that one kind of moment in your life or that period in your life and how did you come through it. So I love that. Thank you. And one of the things we're also looking at is what's your perspective in general on how women are transforming leadership in business and community?
Yeah, and exactly what you just mentioned is part of it. When women step out and do things they're uncomfortable with that challenge them, they grow through it as well. And that's exactly why I said yes to doing this book. It really scared me because I don't like telling my story. I'll be honest. It's scary. It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to be authentic. It's hard to share. I mean, when things are going great, it's easy. But when things are not going so great, that's when we tend to kind of turn inward and we don't really share that. And I think that is so important. And I think that's exactly how women can get ahead. And that's exactly how they can transform leadership, is by stepping out and doing things that maybe are uncomfortable because they're really exposing a deep personal part of ourselves. But when we do that, we pave the path for other women. We actually redefine leadership by prioritizing collaboration, empathy, and strategic growth. When we're no longer waiting for the permission to lead, when we're creating our own platforms, when we're setting our own standards, when we're using our own influence to drive positive change in our community, that's how we really redefine leadership. I see women challenging outdated business norms. I see them embracing vulnerability as a strength, just like I have through this chapter, and proving that leadership isn't just about profit margins. It's about purpose, it's about people, and it's about impact.
I love that. And yeah, it's all so true. And I agree with you too, that I think as women, especially, we learn from each other's stories. And so the more we see the challenges we've each overcome or how we overcame those challenges, I think that that's the way that we really learn from each other and can then take on more big challenges in our own life. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and sharing all those pieces of wisdom of what you've learned along the way. So
Mhm.
if people did want to get in touch with you, if they wanted to learn more about what you're doing or collaborate with you in any way, what's the easiest way for people to connect with you?
It's pretty easy to find me on LinkedIn. That's my number one platform. So you can find me on there. I'm under Kolleen Edwards Chesley. My title might surprise you there. It says, what am I? I'm a chief table shaker, a lead visionary, and a head cheerleader. And that's because I'm all about shaking tables, about disrupting the norms, about getting people to normalize the things that we've been avoiding. So I love collaboration. I love hearing other people's stories. I love conversations about visioning and brainstorming. So if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, feel free to message me and we can set up a potential meeting to talk about a collaboration or a way to help further. When women come together for growth, that's how we really change the world.
I agree. Well, perfect. Well, thank you for being part of this book and for joining us on this interview to share all your experience and I guess not all of it, but some of your experience and wisdom. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you so much for this project. You are actually displaying exactly what it takes to have women challenge leadership and to step out into leadership in a different way by sharing stories, sometimes stories like mine that are really tough. You'll probably read other stories in that same book of other women that have struggled as well. When we each tell our story and when we work with people that are helping to promote those stories, we help to normalize some of those really scary situations, and we give other women the path in order to be successful through our stories as well.
Perfect. Yes, I agree. Well, thank you very much and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Kathy.